Okay, let's see.
It's pulling up right now.
Because we might just have to change it over really quick, but
Sure.
it's just going to be a little.
Yep, I see you live. I don't see myself on there.
Okay. Can you hear yourself?
Give that a shot.
Because we might just have to change it over really quick, but it's just going to be a little.
Nope. I see you live. I don't see myself.
Okay. Nice. It's working.
Okay. There's just no picture of me, but I don't care about that.
No. Hold on. I'm on a different one. Because we might just have to change it over really quick, but.
Sure. Never mind that I got my beard trimmed. It doesn't matter.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the new link, and then we'll just post it onto the other Zoom live or YouTube live.
Okay.
It's annoying. I'm sorry.
So you send me a new Zoom link, or do I need to click on anything?
No, you don't. You're fine.
Okay, I'll just stay
keep
here.
talking. I'm just going to make sure that everybody else has access to it. But right now you are being shown. Oh crap. I'm an idiot. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, it's still on YouTube Live. Copy streaming link. I'm going to put it in the chat right now so you can see it and then you can share it. I'm going to put it on the Facebook so people can see it as well.
Okay. So then there's just a new link on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
And then as soon as I'm done with this, we can get into it because I'm sure people are going to be logging in anyway. So
No problem.
Huh.
You could just do it with voice if you wanted, Vanessa. I'm not concerned.
Yeah, but I'm concerned. I want everybody to see you. So
Okay.
I'm going to make sure that this one is working, and then we will get into it. We'll get into how we met.
Perfect.
And what happened, because I have my memories and you have your memories, obviously. And okay, cool. Okay, I think it should be working now.
No worries.
New link. So who are you?
I'm Casey Cagle.
And what are you doing now?
I am spending a lot of time at home learning to relive life. I'm recently a grandfather a year ago, so I'm spending time with my grandson and getting to know my family again.
That's so awesome. And so what led you to HIT? And can we say what HIT is again?
Yeah, I'm going to have to read it because I'm really bad at remembering this. My wife quits me every time I try and say it. The correct pronunciation is, it is heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. It is also known as just HIT, H-I-T. And what it is it is a reaction to a blood thinner, sometimes given during a procedure. And It caused blood clotting, not only in my arteries, but went down into the small veins.
And so earlier we were talking, and I guess we should just like really start from the beginning. So, okay, so you had hit. You went
Yes.
in for a procedure that you've already been into the doctors for prior, which was just a scope to check your heart stent, just check to see if you were viable for a heart stent,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then
My wife and I went in early that morning, and we had a discussion about grabbing lunch. We were hoping for an in and out procedure. We were going to leave, grab a little lunch. We had both taken the day off. I recall laying on the gurney in the hallway, and that's pretty much the last memory I have for, roughly 3 months. But during the procedure, they went in and they had put me on the heparin. And put me in a twilight state while they scoped me to see if I was going to need a heart stent or what the issue was. I was having a tough time breathing. From there, I coded. I went into a cardiac event, and immediately I went out and under, and that's kind of how the whole process started.
So crazy. And so then you were in a coma for 3 months.
Yeah. That night they stabilized me, brought me out. The doctor came out, and he had a discussion with my wife, let her know what happened. The chaplain was there as well. And, they had a discussion that things did not go well, and they probably would not end well. That, my kids and my family should come see me, since, obviously they were already there. That was around 10 o'clock at night, and I had started this process around 6 in the morning. I guess they came in, they said their goodbyes, did what they did. And they took me upstairs to ICU, and they were able to get me stabilized. And it just kind of started the whole process and procedure. Obviously, I made it to the next morning, and it was touch and go from there for a long time. They put me on a ventilator, trach in my throat. They put me on a heart Impella, which is designed to remove excess blood from my heart, to take a little pressure off there. They put me on an ECMO machine, which went into one artery in my thigh, removed the blood, circulated it, gave it oxygen, and brought it back into the other side of my thigh. I was on full life support for that first month. They put me in a medically induced coma. And like I say, I have no memory at that point. I know it was touch and go. They had a lot of discussions with my family at that point. Unfortunately, things could always take a turn for the worst. We're trying our best every day. And, they just prayed and did what they do.
That is insane. And then because you had multiple parts of your bodies amputated, was it all in one day? Was it throughout the process of that 3 months? Was that
roughly a weekend, somewhere around there? Maybe actually a little bit less, Vanessa. I would say just a couple days in, my family started noticing that my hands were turning black and blue, and my feet were doing the same thing. They were curious, asked questions at times. They were told that it was because I was in a coma. I was probably clenching my fist, and my feet were pushed up against the footboard of the bed, or what have you. They realized, after it developed more and more, my son said he came in one day and I was completely black all the way up to my knees. My legs were, he said it was unrecognizable. My hand, they were swollen. My hands were the same way. I had a couple spots throughout my body, on my arms, that looked that way. So they ran a test for HIT, and they discovered that I was positive. They did what they call fasciotomies to try and save my legs originally. They went in, they did a very invasive rear surgery in the middle of the night. My wife got a call, and they said, "Hey, look, we need to do this. There's there's not a high percentage chance he's going to survive through the surgery. If we don't do the surgery, he's not going to survive. They, gave her just a matter of within the hour to make the decision. At that point, they weren't sure that I had brain activity. So that was something she and I had discussed, and I think a lot of people discuss, hey, if I'm ever in a vegetative state, remove the life support or keep me alive, what have you. But you never discuss, what happens if I possibly need amputation. So
Yeah.
they went in. Fortunately, it was successful. She said that went on through the night, and they came out very early in the morning and said, hey, we're fortunate that we were able to break a lot of them up. They actually went into my arteries and veins and lasered these blood clots, trying to break them up. And they were successful getting a lot of them broken up, but unfortunately, I had still turned black from it. When they did the fasciotomies, they, not to be too descriptive, but they had cut me from the ankle up to my knee on both sides of my legs to expose the bone. And every 4 hours they would have to go, and obviously I'm out, thank goodness, but they would go in and change the dressing and, remove the bandage, put new bandage in, rewrap me. And, I my wife, I love music. Yeah, it's just one thing I'm really into. And my wife said that in the ICU, they would bring these speakers in and just blast heavy metal as loud as they could get it, because it was the only thing that really calmed me down. And a couple of friends said you would just grit your teeth, man, during the process, and you weren't coherent, but the pain was tremendous. My wife said it was just so overwhelming that the whole ICU would come and press their face up against the glass and look in and try and figure out what's going on. But, unfortunately, that didn't work. And it presented the issue of, we're going to have to do the amputations. What would you like to do? At that time, they offered my wife palliative care, my family palliative care, remove my feeding tube, and I, would slowly starve and pass. Another thing, next to music, I love food. And so my wife thought, what an inhumane way for my husband to go. So, she was hesitant. She did not want to do that. But then she understood at the same time, I can't be selfish. Maybe this is the best thing for him. They had lots of meetings with the hospital administration, palliative care, surgeons about, what options did they have outside of that? And it was either we'll do the amputations or we'll do the palliative care. And it was a mixed room. Some people had their own personal agenda, which I think is amazing. They wanted me to stay. Some people thought, hey, this probably isn't the quality of life he's going to want to live. I mean, understand, me. I've known you all the time. I was a big man. I was 6'6", and they were going to, bring me down to the 4'5" to 4'7" range. And a lot of people thought I wouldn't want to live that way. I had been in this medically induced coma. My wife came in a couple mornings later, just like she did early every morning. And she said I was in bed. The head was propped up on the bed, which she hadn't seen. And I looked at her and just said, all right, what are we going to do? I want to live. Let's take my legs. And she said, that was it. She goes, I just overwhelming. She goes, you went back out at that point. We made the decision we made.
Did they like wake you up to have that conversation, or did you just happen to wake up at that time?
The night before, I mean, as I was obviously heavily sedated, the doctor, I can't remember the exact words, but they were at a point where they had tried bringing me out of the coma a few times and they were unsuccessful. And he had told my wife, look, we had given him so much sedation because of the pain, it would have killed an elephant, or it would have put an elephant out. And now bringing him out of it's not that easy. But the doctor that was on that night said, hey, let's just take a little bit of this medication off, see what kind of responses we have. Because to that point, the only response we had is I squeezed my wife's hand at one point. And when they got me off the medication, I was able to get some words out and figure out what was going on around me. And, it just kind of sealed my fate, I think. And my wife said she was just overwhelmed and couldn't wait to tell them, hey, look, let's go forward.
That's awesome. And what's your wife's name?
Joanna. We've
Joanne.
we've been together 30 years, married 25, 2 kids. We have a 20-year-old son living in Santa Barbara, living the dream, going to school. And we have a daughter up in Washington who recently married and had our first grandson, Wade.
Aw. And that's the 1-year-old?
Yeah. Vanessa, the one thing I've wanted my whole life, well, I can't say that, but the day Joanna and I got married, so let's have a baby so I can have grandkids. That's something I've talked about forever. And her cousin Heather, who is a nurse, that's one discussion she had during the palliative care. She said, Joanna, look, what his Casey wanted his whole life. And she knew. And Heather's like, he wanted to be a grandfather, right? And Joanna said, yeah. And she goes, look, he'll be able to, if nothing else, sit in a chair and hold his grandchild. And that's all he ever wanted.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
At this point, we didn't know my daughter was pregnant, but that kind of weighed into this as well.
Wade. That's a good pun. Because
I like that. Yeah, good catch.
So me and you met almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
You're like one of the first people that I ever met. I remember we met at an IFMA Sacramento event in West Sac.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like a big auditorium. I don't even remember what the event was, but I remember you just walking in, and then I was just like, man, he's a big guy. I was like, but he has like this huge smile, and you just always seem to exude happiness. And then at that time, I think you were with Pride.
I was with Pride Industries. I was a facility manager, and I was young, so of course I smiled. It was 10 years ago.
But you're still smiling right now.
And I gotta tell everybody, you were this young girl, obviously, just cutting your teeth in this industry, and you had a determination. And I remember Jenny Bukowski and I talking about this, and Jenny goes, she's going to go places. And look at you. You've tackled this industry, and look at what you've done just in a short 10 years. I'm very proud.
Thank you. I keep kind of wavering whether or not, like, how involved I'm going to be in the industry still moving forward. Obviously, I'm no longer a direct vendor or a direct I guess professional or whatever, but I still have a lot of admiration and love for the industry. So I do want to continue doing YouTubes like this to share everybody's story, and especially your story, because I remember we met at one of your properties with Chris Marino.
Mm-hmm.
Probably within like a month of your procedure happening, probably like a couple weeks. And
is that at the courthouse downtown? I can't remember where we went.
No, we went to it was in the peninsula. It was not in San Francisco. It was at one of the schools.
Yes.
I don't know if we could say the name of the company that you're working for.
I do remember that. That was that's when I was with Bright Horizons. Mm-hmm. And we did. I remember you were working down in the Bay at that time in the air conditioning, and we met at Papillon outside of the Bay, and you guys came in, and this is going to bore everybody listening, but you guys came in. I had received some insane estimates, well into the $200,000 to put an air conditioning system in the kitchen and redo throughout the school. And you guys came in and I shouldn't have told you how much my original bids were, but you just sliced it. And it's forever grateful. It changed that school. It really did.
Good. I'm glad. And then, so I remember I really wanted to have lunch with you, but you couldn't. And then I was disappointed, but then we were supposed to have lunch again within like those weeks, and then you just ghosted me, which isn't you. Like, you're not the type of person to just go silent by any means. And so I was just like, okay, that's really weird. And I remember a couple months later, there was the BOMA Silicon Valley Associates Night, which is just basically a convention for vendors and property managers to meet. And I met Gino in person.
Oh yeah, Great
Yeah.
contractor.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my gosh, you're Gino. Casey connected us, and I haven't met you in person. And he was just like, yeah, did you hear? And I was like, no. And then he told me, and I remember just kind of taking a second because I couldn't really fathom the information that came to me just now, and we're like with hundreds of people, and this was obviously before COVID, so
Oh yeah.
I was definitely shocked. And then a couple weeks after that, or actually a couple months after that, I guess, I saw the article that you guys had
Yeah.
for Fox News. And then that's when I remember sitting with Eli, my husband, and I was just like, this is actually like all really happening. I sent it to John Eschenberg, who was my service manager at the time, and then Chris Marino. Were just shocked. And so I've been stalking you since then.
My wife was amazing. She was overwhelmed. I grew up in a small town. When I was younger, my parents went to the same high school I did, as well as the majority of the people in this town, and the class and the classes around me, Vanessa, it's just amazing. We still kept in contact, 30 years later, prior to all this happening. We all talked. A lot of us talked daily. We got together, we did things. So she was inundated with a lot of people wanting to come to the hospital. The hospital said, please, no more. The first night, as you know, I've coached football for 20 some odd seasons. They said within a couple hours of the word getting out, they had well over 100 people that showed up, and it was midnight, 1 a.m, and the hospital let them gown up, walk by the window, see me in the ICU, which means a lot to me. But at that point, people started reaching out. So she is not stalking, I promise. She made a valid point of going on and updating, because the hospital said, look, we can't do this. You're going to have to limit it. And we had a lot of people that wanted to come, and it's not just because of me, but I mean, because of my family and everybody associated with my family. And like I say, there's a lot of deep friends here. There was less than 9,000 people in Elk Grove when I started at the high school. Now it's well over 200,000. It's changed a lot, but that core of people is still amazing and personal. We do it all together. We always have.
I love that. And then so now I'm assuming you are not coaching anymore, or are you still coaching?
I took a season away to evaluate life. I went back. I got out of the hospital 95 days later, and I tried going right back to the football field. I was in a power chair. I had to have somebody with me the whole time, obviously offering assistance. And I remember we have devotion dinners every Thursday night prior to our Friday night games. And, all the kids get together, we go to a house and have dinner, or we go to school and have dinner. I remember sneaking into that, and I was overwhelmed. The students and the faculty had heard immediately that I had passed away that day when this all happened. So, once again, it was overwhelming to the school, and not just because of me. It would have been to anybody on faculty that was close to the kids. And when I came in, it was just crazy, and that just kind of started something for me that season. And I always felt bad because Drew Rickard, Dan Page, Chris Abe, Ron Giles, I can go on and on, Virgil Uri, Devin A. There's just great coaches there. TJ, these guys worked their butts off. And for me to be on the sideline and have every kid worried about me and standing in front of me so I didn't get ran into, and coach, what do you need? It took them away from the game, and it took away from what these coaches were trying to do. So it was in, I think, everybody's best interest that I step back this year. It was tough. I had never had a summer off in 20 some odd seasons. And, it was nice sitting back and spending time with Joanna on Friday nights and trying not to care about the games, but I did. But
yeah,
well, as these classes graduate and I don't have personal connections with the kids, I will work my way back into it. Hopefully, I'm able to stand, and we'll go into the prosthetics later, but I don't want to be on the wheelchair or on the sideline unless I can be an integral part of what's happening.
Do you want to talk about your prosthetics right now?
Sure, sure. I'll digress a little bit. When I came to after the surgery, it's all a lucid state for me. I don't remember a whole lot. I remember um, Joanna actually one day was in my room with somebody, and I was telling them about this conversation I was having with this girl, and she was really nice. It turned out that the person was the head of psychology for UC Davis. They were still trying to figure out my brain activity. Well, this person I was talking to was a chair, and I remember that, but I didn't remember it was a chair until I got home. But I had a lot of complications. My son and my wife were visiting one day, and of course, I'm not coherent. I'm in and out, and I suffered another heart attack. I had another incident happen right in front of my 18-year-old son at the time, and as you can imagine, that was devastating for him. My wife said the crash team came in, and they had to rush them out into the hallway, and obviously they don't know what's going on. If this is going to be it or not, and I developed some infections. Bad fever. I developed diabetes at a real high rate. They couldn't get my heart rate down. I had an infection in my lungs that really affected me and developed pneumonia from it. So it was, even after the amputations, a lot of things kept happening. So once we got to a point, I remember, Vanessa, I woke up one day and God, I was thirsty. I remember every day they used to put these little sponges in water, and they would let the kids give them to me and my brother. Thank God my brother would cheat and dip it 9 or 10 times, but my wife was very strict. I got 4 seconds of that thing in my mouth. She pulled it out. One day I got defiant. My daughter put it in my mouth, and I wanted more. And I had a trach, and I couldn't really talk, so I kept grunting. And she would put a little bit more. And she goes, "That's it, Dad." And I had saved it up, and unfortunately, I spit on my daughter, and I feel horrible for that. But I was just so frustrated. Joanna wouldn't even drink in the room just in case I opened my eyes and saw her with a drink. And every time I would come around, I would say, "I want to drink, I want to drink." But I woke up and I was in a different ICU. They moved me through various ICU units. They put me in the burn clinic just because of what happened to me. It was a lot like a burn. And that's where they did the amputations and the skin grafts. But they asked me if I wanted a milkshake, and they made this thing called the burn shake. And that's probably my first memory, is smiling and trying to gulp this thing down. Unfortunately, with a trach and cold ice, or wasn't well, but that was it. That was the beginning of my discharge. They moved me a few days later to a regular room. I was off of the ventilator and the trach. I no longer had a feeding tube. I was able to talk, which I wouldn't shut up. And I developed really bad anxiety. I could not be in the room alone, and I couldn't do anything for myself. I would still look down and realize I didn't have legs. I didn't have hands. And anybody, God forbid anybody goes through this ever, but if you do, don't raise the back of the bed up, because you have nothing to stop you from doing this. So I would slide down, and my head would be where my feet used to be. And it was frustrating. I couldn't feed myself. Jim Gangle, a great friend of mine, came over, and I had a hand brace on, and he shoved a fork in it because my wife fed me for the first time. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't put her in that situation. And Jim shoved a fork in my glove and said, "Eat." And he made me feed myself, and it just slowly started coming together. And I got into rehab. They said it would roughly be 5 weeks, and then I would be discharged to a skilled nursing facility to learn basic life. I couldn't brush. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't barely even sit up. And I got out in 9 days because I wanted out that bad. And I was able to, fortunately, they worked hard with me. I was able to get out 4 or 5 weeks early. And almost immediately when I got home, they started talking prosthetics, and I lost my mind. I couldn't believe that I would have this opportunity to walk again and maybe grab things. That was 2 years ago. I I got my right hand recently. Been learning to use it, and I'm so used to using one pinky in this little piece of finger that it feels weird having a hand. You're almost uncomfortable. I don't have to drink like this. I can grab and drink, and just all these little things. But my legs, it was a unique. It cut me off because I'll talk the whole time if you let me. But my amputations were unique. They weren't just your typical fold over. They tried saving as much of my leg as they could, but unfortunately, there was into my thighs, there was, dead tissue. So they couldn't close my legs all the way up. And over the course of a few months, my femur started to pop through the skin. So they had to go in, cut the femurs off. Then they tucked it, did a revision. Started walking, practicing with it again. I got an infection. They had to drain it. 3 months later, I started walking again. Got an infection. They had to drain it. So here we are 2 months later, 3 months later, I just started walking again pretty well. Well, now the sockets are too big. So they recasted them last week. There's setbacks, that have medically happened, but I'm going through a process that not a lot of people get to go through. With my, they call them stubbies, and my legs don't bend at this point, but I'm a whopping 5'4", I think.
Like as
I'm
tall as
getting
me
up
now.
there. I'm toddler height. I can get by in the third or fourth grade. Oh, I get punked by third graders all the time, but it's unfortunate. Soon, if this keeps progressing, I'll have what they call sea legs. They have microprocessors. I know sea legs. I think of being a pirate with pegs.
I know. I was thinking of
that's the first thing I thought, Vanessa.
Family Guy.
They have microprocessors and gyroscopes, and the knees will actually bend. I'll be able to go up and down stairs. If I keep going this process, I'm going to stop at 6'1". On the advice of Kenny Chappelle, don't be 6'6" again, because it's difficult.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll be without cane. I'll be up and walking again. My left hand is with microprocessors. It's a glove. I look a lot like General Grievous for anybody in Star Wars. And it's over my hand, and I open and close it, and it's amazing. It's all wired to my nerves, and it will function just like a regular hand grasping again. So, when you see this on YouTube, I hate to say it, but amputees freaked me out, and I still hate looking at a full length mirror. So I've always been that way. But when you see these things on YouTube, you think, oh my God, I don't want that. But then after you try and relearn life and feeding yourself and just basic care, Joanna had to do everything for me. When I got home, you appreciate it. You don't feel like people are staring at you anymore. You feel like, hey, I don't care. I can do things again. So does that answer your prosthetic question from 9 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
no.
checking.
Well, because a lot of people don't know you, and a lot of people don't know what happened. So I think that it brings a lot of value for you to go all the way to the back, because we kind of just jumped into it after I
absolutely
fixed all the links. So I did change the links, and I commented on it. So if
excellent.
So
yeah.
No, it's so, the whole thing is still crazy. Do you I don't know, I've obviously never had anything amputated, but I've heard stories from other people, and so apologies if this comes off offensive or anything.
God, you can't offend me anymore.
Do you get the
phantom pain?
Yeah, that thing
drives me crazy. And I love talking. Well, years ago, when I was 13, 14, I first started playing basketball. Our coach, Perry Peterson, great man, was missing a couple fingers from accident. And he would always be cleaning the nail where that finger used to be. And I used to think, oh my God, that would be the worst thing in the world, because he could feel things under the nail. I still have phantom pain to this day. And the worst part is when you reach down to scratch your ankle because it itches, or you're trying to uncross your toes, which I'm doing now. I can't stop doing it. It's frustrating because, the nerves are still up into my legs. It's just past that point, it's gone. And I sit here and I swing my legs back and forth. but they're not. It's just my thigh barely rocking. It does get painful. There's nights, I'm up 3, 4 in the morning, which is unlike me just because of the pain. But then it goes away, and you don't think about it until you feel it again. But nothing worse. You work out. You're religious about it, and you know what a muscle cramp is. And when your calves cramp up and you don't have calves, it's freaky. It's really creepy.
That's crazy. Did you have to change your diet throughout?
Joanna did. I didn't. Couldn't feed myself, and I'm still very limited. Yeah, Joanna took carbohydrates out of my life and has prepared more meals in order to get back into cooking. So I'm passionate about that. Obviously, I have a lot of passions, don't I? She preps everything, a night or two before, cuts vegetables and this and that. And I act like I'm making dinner. I sit in front of the stove and just flip things, and I flip them on the floor, which the dog loves, or I throw it on the counter. But I eventually get enough flip to cook. I came out of the hospital. I was 260 pounds when I went in. I left at 191, which was amazing because I haven't weighed that since I was 4. I came out at 191 pounds, and something about laying in bed and not being able to eat for 4 months, you want to eat fast. I lost a lot of muscle mass. I hadn't moved in 90 days, and I ate everything. God, I ate everything. If the cat left food on the bed, yeah, I would eat the cat food. She had to move the dog snacks. I wanted to eat so bad, and I got up to about 225 pounds, and it doesn't sound like much, but when you're 4'6", 225 is a roly-poly little guy. And so she and I have been very religious on this diet. She's doing it with me to force me to get back to things. And I'm down to about 210, 205, and I'm happy. You find that when you don't have legs, my arms are my legs. And that's how I get up and over and transfer and pull myself. And it's something, if you're a little bit heavier, it's hard to do. So thank God I have her, and she's helped me realize that. There's a lot of dark days. When you first come out of this, you lay there and you listen to One by Metallica over and over and over and over, and you think, oh my God, this is me now. It's not a funny video. I hate this. And, still there's days I wake up where I could be in the middle of doing something and just all of a sudden it hits me. Oh my God, this is me now. But, it's hard for me to be angry. I've like I say, I've got amazing friends. We, when Mark Dembski picked this up and ran it on Fox, affiliates all across the country picked it up. Fox started covering it everywhere. And I started getting calls from friends I know in different states. Hey man, I saw you on the news. What the hell are you doing? You live in here? And yeah, I had no idea. And then People Magazine picked it up. Sports Illustrated picked it up. USA Today picked it up. So there's an overwhelming amount of people who are smart enough to go on Facebook, find your name and start messaging you. And it was always positive support. Then there were a lot of people excuse me, that were, my husband or my wife was in the situation where they're amputees. They don't want to get out of bed. And I wanted to say, I don't either, it's no fun, but you do your best when you have the family that I have and the support I have and the means we have, you find yourself coaching in a whole different light. I'm not standing out there motivating and yelling at kids. You start finding yourself interacting with other people in this situation. It's so rewarding. I've spoken at a couple spine injury support groups, and I've been asked to go back to Orlando in October and speak. And it's just to see people light up, and they don't know me and they don't care, but to hear, when you see somebody think, oh my God, there is hope, I could do this. It feels great. And, and you go home and you don't hear from them again, and you think, God, I hope they really do. It would be great, but I forgot your question at this point. I get so excited about everybody in my life. It keeps you going. I get just the craziest text about the stupidest little things about, look what I'm having for dinner, or, hey, check out my dog. He was thinking of you. And it helps. It really does. I hear from so many people on so many occasions, and it's overwhelming.
That's awesome. What did COVID change anything for you? Was that any harder, or was it, because at that point you've already been home for a year, So
Yeah,
did anything really change?
I don't love COVID. I don't care a bit
Does
about what
anybody love COVID?
I know. It's horrible because I know so many people think it's fake, and hey, your own opinion, but it's horrible what it did to people. But at the same time, I was like, suckers, everybody else sit home, see what you think of it. And unfortunately, it was much more serious than we thought. My wife and I, my daughter, my son-in-law Bryce, we all contracted it. Thank God, it wasn't that serious for us. We got our vaccinations, or I call them inoculations because I'm old. And it's good to be at the end of this. People deserve to go back out, but it did affect my life. Joanna could put me in the car and drive me in circles in the neighborhood. And oh my God, I was like a baby. I got all excited and I'd fall asleep. That all ended, with COVID, and it was a depressing time. And she had to work even harder to manage her departments. She works with the state, and she had to work harder because she wasn't interacting face to face. She had this, 50-year-old baby in the house and all these different things. But I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. It affected all of us, definitely. But I was kind of thought it was great that everybody else was staying home too.
I think that's silly. You're so silly. I just imagine you rolling around in the car now.
Oh my God, I got to tell you real quick. We went to the drive-through one time at Dutch Brothers, and she and I were just having a friendly, 25-year-old marital argument like everybody has. I hope. And I closed my eyes. I reclined back in the seat and I just laid real still. And we went through the drive-through and we came back out. And I started laughing, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I go, "They probably thought you killed me and cut my limbs off and you were taking me to bury me." She didn't find it funny. I loved the moment, but that's kind of how the car rides go now.
You're so funny. What keeps your humor alive?
This talking to people, and like I say, I mean, I see my grandson. He's on, like, he'll be one in the 25th, and I'm a bad grandfather if on the day off. But he's today he was giving me kisses on the phone. We FaceTime nonstop, and he was going, "Mwah, mwah," and he actually says hi and waves and stuff. Hey, seeing my daughter get married, seeing my son enjoy the life that a 20-year-old should enjoy, having my wife every morning, it keeps you going. You're grateful. We all have a battle. Yours is getting up in the morning and going to work out. It's crazy what you do. Be it if you have a cold and you're trying to get over a cold, everybody's got to fight, and it doesn't mean that mine's more serious than anybody else's. You find a way to get through your fight. And this was mine, and friends motivate. And it's hard to be angry. I don't want anybody to not enjoy being around me because, I'm a hassle now. You got to get me out of the car, put my wheelchair out there for me and stuff. So if I'm an ass and they're going to quit coming around, I'm going to quit getting my car rides.
they'll just leave you on the side of the road. Like,
oh, when I get my prosthetics screwing, they're on their own.
So I'm going to jump back really quick because you did kind of touch on it earlier. Did you have diabetes, or did you?
I did. And I was able to control it with oral medication. Once I got into the hospital, it just went insane. Now that Joanna has me home and unlocks the fridge at certain times for me to eat, which she doesn't do. She's amazing. She she feeds me, but it's pretty much to a point where I'm more than off some medications. Hopefully at this pace, it won't be much longer, and I will no longer be diabetic. It's well on track for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, because my dad has diabetes. My grandma actually has lost one of her legs because of diabetes too. So I was wondering if, for some reason, diabetes added to the hit or not. And also, is there any way that you could maybe check for HIT prior to doing surgery, or how would you?
I don't believe you can. I mean, not to get too much into what happened there, but there are telltale signs. And, from what I understand, the average person has some hemoglobin count or something 400 to 600. I spiked over 12,000. So there's things, discoloration of the limbs, where it should be caught. And I don't believe there's a pre-test you can take, but hopefully, and that's another reason why I speak to this. Maybe more and more people learn about it and think, "Oh, crud! He's my brother's hands are black," or this, and they can
Mhm.
diagnose it a little sooner. But I get the diabetes thing all the time, and I just go, "Yeah," because no, you don't want to go into your story and if you say no to diabetes, it was like, "Oh, well, thank you for your service." I was like, "Look, I was a Cub Scout in 1974. I didn't serve. There's a lot of people that deserve recognition, and it's tough. Like, you'll go to a restaurant when you go to pay. Oh, the gentleman at the table across paid for you, and this and that. And I know they do it because they think I'm a veteran, and I feel horrible for that. I really do. And then I convince myself they just like my smile or something. But a lot of people do. It's either diabetes or a veteran or an auto accident. Nobody has hit.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people out there haven't even heard of it.
Yeah. I haven't.
Yeah.
I
I
don't think
wish
so.
I
I'm
have
just
them
think through like
either.
Grey's Anatomy or something. But
It was actually, it's kind of funny because after this happened to me, Grey's Anatomy did an episode with a woman that had hit, and I had never watched it and I never would have thought about it, but people started messaging, "Oh my God, the hit, it was on Grey's Anatomy." Yeah, we watched it, and it's overwhelming for my wife. And I got to tell you real quick, because I got plenty to say. We're gonna be here for another 4 hours. My wife, when I first came home, would just look at me and cry. My medical pages came back at over 20,000 pages, a lot to read, so she started reading. Um, she told me just a year ago, once they realized, hey, his blood clots have subsided, they're gone, he's just like everybody else. She broke down and she told me, she goes, "Look, um, I brought you home to die, and there was a blood clot at the base of your neck, and it was a matter of time for it either broke off, gave you a stroke, or killed you." I had no idea, and I got upset. I was like, "Why would you not tell me that?" But you think I was crying there? My God, I would have cried every day. And when she heard that it was gone, it was a relief for her. She didn't have to walk around for a year waiting for me to just drop in front of her. So that it just shows you that you're asking what motivates you. There you go. My wife walked around for a year knowing that I was going to die. She was convinced I was going to die. A lot of people were convinced it was just a matter of time. And so how can I get pissed about not being able to crack an egg without it going to my lap and eating 3 shells? It is what it is.
I was actually gonna touch on that too. Do you think any of your family members or close friends have like PTSD?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My daughter and my son really took it hard. The day of my son's graduation, he stepped off stage and my family had to rush off. They were, supposed to be doing a party. They were told I wouldn't make it through the night. I had to have another surgery, and this was a few months into me being in the hospital, at least a month and a half. It's tough for an 18-year-old kid that wants to be celebrating a moment of his life to hear your dad's going to die tonight. My sister-in-law took him to Disneyland to see the new Star Wars, and they did, a lot. His friends were amazing, and it still affects him to this day. My daughter, she had to go back home to Alabama. She was in school, living with Bryce, and it was hard on her. And obviously, my wife, my mom, my sister, my brother, a lot of friends. I've got a lot of close friends. It did affect them, and Vanessa, honestly, I said before, I slept. I took a very, very long nap, and I don't recall too many times where I would open my eyes and look around and not see somebody there. And I just stop and think it would have devastated me if that was Joanna. I don't know what I would have done if that was my brother, my kids. I don't. I could only imagine what they went through. I was awake for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes here and there. It was 24/7. Joanna would come home, sleep for 4 hours, come back, and during those 4 hours, if I woke up, I would lose control and start screaming for her, and they would call her in the middle of the night, or, "Hey, Joanna, he's not going to make it through the night. You need to come up," or, "Joanna, we need to do this emergency surgery. Joanna, we have to shave his beard. We're going to put an Impella into his jaw," which I'm glad they called, but She never got a moment's rest. Thank God my sister-in-law, my brother lived on the corner. Julie came over and dealt with the house, and she lived there at the hospital. It was great having her around.
Throughout that time, did she also, sorry, my dog's puking.
We're so professional, huh?
I know, I'm sorry. Did she still work?
She was fortunate. Jim and Kenny Chappelle and the Baker family, Shauna Hansen. There was just so many people that stepped up, and they actually got hours donated to her. So she was able to take 7 months off from work, and
They get hours donated to you.
yeah, should have got on with the state. They got a lot of hours donated to them, but yeah, she was able to take all that time off. It's amazing. I apologize. I have a friend that doesn't seem to understand that I told him I'd be here. It's it's something else to be grateful for. She gave me every minute.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What does she do for this? I mean, can you talk about that?
Yeah, she's an associate director for the state of California. She is in the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
I would sit here and go through every department that she manages now, but I'd be making stuff up and I'd hear about it later.
No, you're so funny. Man, it just, the whole thing it's a lot of information, but I'm really glad that you're able to share it. I know you said that you were on a couple of other podcasts. What other podcasts were you
on? Nolan Robertson and Aiden Bloomstein from the high school I coached at started a podcast at the high school, and that was the first one I was on. It was great. A couple of young kids, and I was able to joke with them the whole time and not be serious and make a lot of stuff up, which was fun. But like I say, I've spoken with a few support groups. I've done some online support groups through amputee websites and stuff. And, it's a positive story. Like I say, I have a lot of motivation, a lot of means of getting better. So I think other people look at that and think, if that little fat guy can do it, I can do it. And it means a lot. I love getting those messages back from people. Hey, my husband's life has changed. My husband's able to do this, or my wife or my friend. And I enjoy it. Maybe that's my purpose now. I'm fortunately, I was able to, well, not fortunately, but I retired. I don't anticipate going back, and, my career would definitely be difficult, but, maybe this is what I do now. I mean, is get an opportunity to speak to people, and it's not a comparison. It's a matter of, trust me, I'm pretty lazy, and if I can do it, you can do it.
I mean, if you want, we can build you a website and then have people get in contact with you. I'd
love to
do that.
I would love to continue working with you on this. I know you're involved in IFMA and BOMA and all kinds of other acronyms. I miss a lot of those people. It'd be great to be able to be in touch with them again. So
Yeah.
feel free anytime that you feel bad about yourself, I'll set you straight.
No, it's very very rare these days. I don't feel like, especially, I mean, how could I, if I know people like you, I'm very grateful and very fortunate for my life and like what has happened in the last quarter, even though, yeah, I got fired technically, even though they didn't want me to say I was fired, but I needed that push to stand on my own feet,
Sure.
and the amount of people that I get to meet on a day-to-day, I mean, regardless, like, you know me, like before I would meet a ton of people through.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. I never met anybody in the industry that didn't know you.
You're so funny. And so now at this point, I get to meet different types of people that all have like aspirations and dreams. And then I get to help them like get there, and it might be small, but it's just different. And I'm very fortunate.
It is. I saw kids in rehab that were missing limbs. And I think you're 16, you're 14, you're 12. How, how can I not be grateful that, this happened to me at 49. The kid I shared a room with had broken his neck and he couldn't move anything but his mouth. And my cousin Sherry, she woke up one day and she was in a wheelchair. The Carlson family, Karen woke up one day and she was just in a wheelchair. And, I look at people like that and I think, wow, what you've done, it pushes me. And, we all have somebody that inspires us. And, those are my inspirations.
Thanks. I'm trying to not get emotional. I'm trying.
You're good. Still me. Trust me.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your life as a facility manager?
Yeah, God. I played around with that in the beginning. A good friend of mine got me into the casino in Jackson, managing logistics, the warehouses, and I really enjoyed it. I left there and went to Red Hawk. I was the second hire out of 3,000 people. I was able to help build the departments there, logistics again. The private industry is not a lot of fun, as you just learned. It's a matter of time before management gets let go because of budget cuts or what have you. I knew facility management. I got back into it. And there is a big difference between being a facility manager and, as because I know you dabbled in sales, it's tough trying to find business. When you're a facility manager, it's not that it's not tough because you had a lot of people, in your buildings. I had Apple and Google and Firefox and all these, Yahoo. I had all these other properties and they're demanding, of course, but it sure is nice being able to bring somebody else in to do the work. And then when they get on you, you get to get on the person doing the work. But I really enjoyed it. I managed throughout the city and I was able to go to San Francisco when I wanted, stay at no charge, eat in amazing restaurants at no charge. I really, truly enjoy facility management. Anybody out there, if you're young or you're in college, look into it because more and more buildings pop up every day in commercial properties. And it's anything you can do, building technician, engineer, facility manager, project manager. It's good work. And the networking, look at us. You and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the networking. And it is so strong. I can imagine, people throughout the country. I know you're down in Texas now and you've established relationships there. It's amazing what you can get out of it. Great friendships.
Lifelong family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now whenever, Joanna and I need somebody to come work on the house, oh boy, I get 20 bids and I break it down and this and that. And it's not necessary, but it makes me feel like I'm working again.
Yeah. What do you do? What's your typical day look like these days?
When I get up, I usually lay in bed and cry for the first 45 minutes. Then I vomit from all the crying and I get back in bed and cry. And I get up. Joanna's on me. I used to love to sleep in and I was never a sleep in person. I'd get up around 10. Joanna now, since she gets up early, means I have to get up early. So she's on me. Get up, get your day started. Go do things, do something. I get up. We usually get breakfast together. I do my best to do laundry and things around the house. It looks like a 4-year-old folded it, but you know what? It's clean and it's wadded up in a ball and it's put where it's supposed to go. I try and do things around the house. I have a German Shepherd.
Do you know what this is?
Oh, I do now. Yeah, I used to see those in the stores when they would fold shirts. Well, I know what I'm buying. Thank you. I have so many gadgets now. But I take the dog out. I take my wheelchair. He's pretty bright. He walks next to me. My son brought home a cat from Santa Barbara. Said, "Dad, I'm going to get it next week," and that was 9 months ago. So it's a Highland Lynx. It's a predator. It's everything else, but she's my best friend. We eat breakfast together every day. When I make lunch, she has half my lunch. She's my partner now. She loves to ride in the wheelchair. I take her for rides, but I try and do everything I did before. It's just so time consuming.
Yeah.
even from the shower, yeah, I can get in and out of the shower. Joanna's, of course, terrified I'm going to fall. And I don't blame her. I've taken a couple falls and it's not fun. You ever pick a slippery, soaked up fat man off the ground? It's not easy. But I try and go about my regular day. The only thing that's different is I don't go to work now. I start making dinner the best I can around 3 p.m. and we eat at 9. It's just everything takes so long and tedious, but at least I can do it.
Yeah.
I got the opportunities to do certain things. A lot of things I can't do, and some things I can. But I started driving recently. Yeah, I go really slow. I got to let the car idle because I can't reach the pedals. But I I got hand controls for Christmas. I started driving. I can't get in and out of the car on my own, but it's exciting. I can do curbside pickup. I can hit a drive-through and try and do little things. Yeah, I e-cart, so Joanna, doesn't have to go to the grocery store. She's overwhelmed already. So
yeah.
I'm living the life of retirement. I plan on golfing here real soon. As the prosthetics allow me to, I plan on fishing and just being a retired guy that's not too old at this point.
Yeah.
Enjoying what I can while I can. It'll change someday, and I'll be limited on what I can do. So trying to get back to that.
So your cat's new. Did your dog see a difference, or like?
It was horrible. We had 3 dogs. Well, we had 2 dogs, and my daughter's dog was here. One of them we had for 15 years. My German Shepherd that we have now is 5. So he had a lifelong friend in our Jack Russell. Almost immediately when I went in the hospital, Joanna had to put our Jack Russell down. He just got really sick. So, the German Shepherds are pretty bright. Immediately, he's like, where's Jake? And then he starts thinking, where's Casey? I haven't seen that guy in a long time. My daughter got her dog and was driving back to Alabama, was hit in Arizona. The dog went out the window and was killed. So now poor Bentley, the German Shepherd's home. I'm gone. Everybody's gone. And Joanna would bring my laundry home once I got into rehab. And Vanessa was horrible. He would smell it and go running over to the bag and try and open it. He would nudge it and just cry and whine. And I was all excited to come home and see him. I couldn't wait. And I came in the house, and he looked at me like, you're an ass. But the cat, the other cat, lost her mind. She jumped all over me, crawled around me, and screamed and chased me up and down the house. It was like she couldn't believe I was home again. But yeah, Billy didn't really care like I thought. I think maybe he was looking at my bag for treats or something. Now I thought he was going to lose his mind. But yeah, we're real close. We spend a lot of time together.
I love that. I do need to go. Like I keep seeing in the corner of my eye where she puked. But she just got her vaccines. Yes, her second round of vaccines yesterday, and then her lip was like all swollen, and I was like terrified because I was like, oh God, is she gonna die? I have no idea. And then she just puked. So
go do what you've got to do. I can't thank you enough for doing this.
No, I can't think. I would love to keep talking with you.
Oh, absolutely. You know where I'm at. So you message me anytime. I'm sure a lot of people got off 25 minutes ago going, oh my God. But here we are. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. It'd be nice if you're ever with an IFMA or a BOMA event. I would love to be able to speak to some people again and tell them how amazing I was, because they don't know me in Texas and they may believe that I was amazing.
Yes, you're so silly. And then if you have any way of people to contact you, I will for sure love to make you a website. That's what I'm doing now. And but until then,
I've got a fax machine. Is pretty old. If you don't mind doing that, that's amazing. And they could reach me there is probably the best way, because I get a lot of coupons from Joann's and Michael's and Kohl's in my email, and I would hate to lose somebody's email with my coupons when I delete them. But that would be great. I would love to talk to anybody anywhere. Trust me, I would love to talk to anybody. I've got time now, and somebody wants to complain to me, great. If they want to send me cheesecakes from Junior's in New York, awesome. Joanna won't let me eat it, but yeah, I would love to see people and talk to people. That would be great.
Do you read any books or like listen to audiobooks or anything like that?
I read magazines. things. You know what I read books about, and it's sad. I read books by people like Ozzy and all these people that, are older, and Larry Bird, loved Larry Bird. I read a lot of stuff like that. But audiobooks, my mother-in-law introduced me to them. They're great. I slap the headphones on at night, and Joanna goes to sleep a little bit earlier than me, and I just lay there and listen to things, listen to a lot of podcasts, and
What are
try
your
and
podcasts
educate
right now?
myself. What's that?
So what are your podcasts right now?
You know what? My son got me onto Joe Rogan, and I don't know why I listen, but damn it, I listen. I'm a huge Boston fan. The Bruins, I love the Sox, Celtics, Patriots, Bruins. Bruins are doing great. They're closing in on the Stanley Cup, so I've been listening to a lot of stuff from WEEI out of Boston, and it's lonely and boring, but I enjoy sports. I miss it, coaching so much some days. I try and coach the cats to wrestle or the dog to stand on 2 feet, but I just, it gets in your blood, and that's what you want to do.
Yes. Again, bringing it back. We're gonna make this happen for sure. We're gonna
absolutely.
We
can do one of those boring talk shows every morning where we're drinking our coffee and talking to the 3 people that are tuned in. I'm open to whatever. It's great talking to you, and we'll definitely keep in touch the second we hang up. But I'm hopefully there's some people left on here, and I just want my friends and family to know that hey, no different from you guys. I look different, but thank you. Every one of them got me to where I'm at right now. That's the truth. It really is.
So I want to end off with a quote.
For me?
Words of advice.
Oh my God. I got nothing. It's my nephew Colby. Nuke the whales, because you got to nuke something. But an REM song comes on, and it says, "I tripped and fell, but did I fall?" And you stumble a lot. You know what I mean? I have tripped and fallen, but I didn't. I didn't fall. I got back up and I kept walking. Or I dropped the hot sauce in the kitchen and glass went everywhere, and I didn't fall. I go and I get on the ground and scoot across and pick it up, right? You're going to hit the ground, but don't fall. Don't stay.
Just get back up.
Exactly. You got to, right?
Even if you are not a 6'6" man anymore.
Like I say, we're all going to hit our challenges. Somebody's going to hit their challenge. I see people post, "Oh my God, worst day of my life. Traffic was miserable." Hey, I hope that is the worst day of your life. I really do. I thank God to be that fortunate, but it's their fight, and it really did. It ruined their day. So, hey, that was your fight for the day. This is my fight. I want to hold the soda with one hand. That's my fight. When I can do that, then I'll start doing something else. So just fight.
Do you have any big goals?
Yeah.
Not big. It doesn't have to be big, I guess.
Well, no, I've been invited to start playing rugby, and wheelchair rugby. You think, oh, how cute is that? These guys are killing each other. It's insane. The competitiveness, the hate between countries. These guys are just beating the heck out of each other. I've been invited to play. I think I need to make sure that I can hold a fork without dropping it before I play. But there's people in a lot worse situations than I am that play. The Olympic team now, I'm obsessed with that. I've never been into Paralympics in my life, but I can't wait for Paralympic rugby. I know a lot of these guys now when we talk. The good thing about it, Vanessa, is there are guys my age and older that play on these international teams in the Olympic teams, because it's not a matter of being able to endure things other than your arms. If your arms are strong and you're comfortable sitting in a wheelchair that you're strapped into, anybody can do it. And, like I say, there's people in worse situations than I'm in, and I just can't wait to knock one of them down. I want to. That's my goal. Cycling, been looking at different bikes. My buddy Jim, Gangle, I talked about a few times, he and his son Jeffrey ride. My brother rides. I'm going to be the guy laying down there. He's going, oh, look at that guy's bike. He's cross country. No, I'm not. I'm a dude with no legs if you look close enough. But I'm looking forward to getting back into that and just, a little more exercise. It's hard to stay fit doing this. You can only do so many dips. And I do the prison workout, and it's all I can do at this point.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to I'm glad that you reached out.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I've had a lot of people throughout the country that reach out. And I got to be honest, the first person I thought about was you, because of you're so positive and you get so excited about things. And to be able to talk to you like this, it means a lot to me. Like I say, I got to watch you from a little girl that was passing out pins and yo-yos at events to where you're at today. And I still have a lot of that stuff. I got to be honest. I don't yo-yo like I once did, and I don't play the hokey pokey. That's bullshit. But you ever try to stick your left leg in when you don't have it? But I do. I still have a lot of those things in a box, and whenever I need something like a small fan that plugs into my cell phone, I go and grab it.
No,
those are good times.
You're the best. Come to Texas.
Yes, Joanna and I are talking about getting some travel done. She's been all over the world as of late, and she's all excited about taking me to Scotland for a few weeks. But I'd rather go to Paris, Texas, and see San Antonio and everything again. I was through there a few months before all this happened to me, and I lost a lot of memories. There's a lot of things I don't remember. I remember my phone number from when I was 6 years old, but I can't tell you. I watched Justice League a couple months ago, and I got about hour and 45 minutes in it. So I went, oh shoot, I've seen this. So I have to text Joanna, have I seen this? And she'll tell me what we've watched and what I haven't watched. But I do remember parts of Texas. If I ever leave California and I could talk her into it, I'll end up in Galveston, somewhere around the coast. I would love it. And congratulations on the marriage and the move.
Thank
I know
you.
It's all new to you.
Yes, it's all very new. I'm super grateful. We had a crazy wedding, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm just so grateful and thankful for everything that's happened to me in the last year, let alone lifetime.
That was your fight, right? You got one. I know it's tough. I see you working out. I think, Jesus Christ, you could bench press me now. But you get up and you go every day. And I know it's not easy. And that's your fight. You want to be fit, and that's what you do.
Yes. Getting stronger every day, mentally, physically.
It helps.
Emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. But reach out. We could do this again. I'm sure we've talked about everything, and nobody will tune in for the second one, but at least we'll be there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again. And I will work on your website. We're going to make it
amazing. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Congratulations. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.